This is Faraday from Aries MUSH, and this is part 2 of the MUSH 101 tutorial. In this segment, we'll cover how to play the game using a MUSH client. A MUSH client is a special kind of application that lets you connect to MUSH servers in the same way a web browser lets you connect to web servers. You can access some game features through the web, which we'll cover in the next segment, but for the complete game experience, you'll need a MUSH client. There are MUSH clients available for every operating system, and you can find links to some of them at ariesmush.com. The one I'm going to show you today is Atlantis, a popular client for Mac OS. Once we have the MUSH client installed, we can connect to a game. To do this, we'll need to know the game's address on the internet. This is similar to a web page URL, but it consists of two parts, a host and a port. For example, the Aries MUSH demo game's address is mush.ariesmush.com, port 7206. Most MUSH clients have an address book that lets you store games, just like a web browser stores bookmarks. Let's add the Aries demo game to our address book. The exact steps to add a game will vary from MUSH client to MUSH client. In Atlantis, we just go to Address Book, click the button to add a new world, give the world a name, and put in the host name and the port. From there, we can click on Connect and connect to the game. Once the game is added, we can connect to it from our address book. We'll see the game's welcome screen, which usually shows some nifty ASCII art that tells us which game we've connected to. The demo game is currently set up as a Battlestar Galactica MUSH. MUSHes are primarily text-driven. There are no buttons or menus on the game itself. Everything is done by typing commands. You type a command in the MUSH client's input window, and when you hit enter, the command is sent to the game. The game will respond with more text on your screen. For example, if we type the help command, we'll see a list of help topics. To read a specific help topic, we would type help followed by the topic name. For example, help beginner. Notice how sometimes the text scrolls off the screen and we have to scroll back up to see the complete text. Another useful command is who, which will show us who's online at the moment. This shows us a list of characters that are currently connected. A character is our avatar in the game and typically represents a person inhabiting the game's universe. On a Battlestar game, your character might be a Marine or a Viper pilot. To log into the game with a character, we use the connect command followed by the character's name and password. We don't have a character on this game yet. The way to get a character will vary from game to game, so you'll need to check out each game's help topics or website for details. Most games, though, will have some shared guest characters you can borrow just to log in, look around, and talk to people. To log in using one of these guests, you use guest for both the name and the password. Let's give it a try. We just type connect, guest, guest. We got spam with a bunch of information, which we'll ignore for now. And it's telling us that our temporary guest character name is guest1. So if we look at the who list again, we now see ourselves listed there as well. The next thing we'll probably want to do is talk to people. MUSHes have a public chat system. There are channels for different subjects, kind of like chat rooms, and you can join them and talk to other interested players. On Aries MUSH games, you can see the list of available channels just by typing channels. For channels you've joined, this command will also tell you how to talk on them. For example, to talk on the chat channel, we could use C followed by the message or CH or CHA. For example, we could do CH, hi there. Everyone on the channel would see us say hello, and hopefully someone would respond. Channels are considered OOC communication. That means out of character. Even though the message is tagged with your character's name, it's assuming that you're speaking as the player, not as your character. Another way to talk to people is through a private message, known as a page in MUSH lingo. Like channels, pages are also OOC communication, a way for players to talk to one another. Even though you're talking OOC, the game only knows you by your character name, so that's what we need to use in the command. To send a private page to Faraday, for instance, we would type page Faraday equals hello, can you help me? and Faraday would hopefully respond with something like, "Sure, what do you need?" The markers at the front of the message indicate that these are private pages. You can include multiple people in a page, similar to a conference call. Mushes have a virtual map consisting of multiple locations, aka rooms, connected by exits. Using a theater analogy, some of these locations represent offstage or out of character areas. There might be a backstage player lounge or a welcome room. Other locations represent onstage or in character areas. To see where you are in the game, just type "Look." This will show you the description of the room you're in, along with any other characters in the room with you, and a list of exits leading to other rooms. Here we can see we're in the welcome room. The letter in brackets next to the exit is the command we type to go that way. So to leave the welcome room and enter the offstage area, we would type O. Notice how the room description changes when we move, and the destination and more destinations become available to us. Contrary to the name, a mush room doesn't actually have to be a single room. It can represent any area of any size, from a closet to a planet. You just have to read the room description to find out what it represents. Once you've gotten a character of your own and you've been approved to play, you'll be able to venture on stage. Here, the rooms represent actual in character areas of the game. In this example, we're on the hangar deck of the Battlestar Galactica. When we see other characters on stage, it's usually safe to assume that they're available to play with, just as an actor would be in character on a theater stage. There are exceptions, so it doesn't hurt to ask first. You could either page them or use the OOC command to make an out of character remark to the people in the room with you. For example, you could type OOC, "Would you like to play?" And then hopefully they'd reply with something like, "Sure." Finally, we get to the actual heart of the game, the role playing itself. When two or more characters occupy the same room on stage and want to interact, they start a scene. They each take turns writing a short paragraph of action and dialogue and continue round robin style until the scene is over. There are a few commands to do this. The two most common ones are emit and pose. Both will show your character's actions and dialogue to the other players in the room. The only difference is how it's formatted. An emit is freeform. You can put whatever text you want into it and it will be shown to the room exactly as you type it. For example, if we put emit and then a raptor has just landed and Sterling strides down the ramp, the room will see a raptor has just landed and Sterling strides down the ramp. A pose, on the other hand, includes the colon at the front, and it's a phrase that will tack your character's name to the beginning automatically. So if we type strides down the ramp of a recently landed raptor, the room will see Sterling strides down the ramp of a recently landed raptor. It's the same basic information, just a slightly different syntax and formatting. We'll go over more of the ebb and flow of how a roleplay scene works in another segment of the tutorial. For now, though, you know all the basic commands you need to play through the MUSH client. And this concludes this part of the tutorial. Thanks for listening.